Well, good morning, everybody. I just barely made it under the wire. Dog, my daughter asked me to go to Starbucks this morning, so I was pushing it. but when my little princess asked, "Daddy, can you please go to Starbucks for me?" I also had a virtual appointment, which was cool because I had a PET scan last week. And Derek, and I don't know if I relayed this to you, but at one point I had a PTLD in my which is post transplant lymphedema. Anyway, so it's very common after transplants, not unusual, but it's cancer and it needs to be addressed immediately. Luckily, we caught it immediately, and so. Today's PET scan, after having several infusions and having PET scans before, was completely and utterly below clear. So,
well done, brother.
Yes, sir. Anyway, so it's all good. I'm happy about that. It was good news this morning. Happy news from the man above, and I appreciate it more than anything in the world. Then I get to talk to my other MOG. My other one right here. I got two of them. I got three of them.
I will say thank you for you being here. Right? Yeah. I will say thank you for you being here because we're here and we'll accept the win. We will accept.
Amen. I'll take the trophy.
We will accept the win, man. On to the next thing we got to do.
That's right. How's everything been going with you, my friend?
It's been busy. It's been really good.
I saw your post yesterday about signing books, man. Talk to me about that.
Yeah. So the impact of influence, again, that a compilation of 17 great storytellers, men who have gone through some friction, life friction, and just able to put those lessons together in a way that gives you one, hope and faith. The other would be that it gives you a reminder of your influence, because we often forget that each of us means something to somebody.
That's right.
We constantly give some portion or percentage of ourselves to people, and we forget the value in that. We forget that there are things that you and I will say in this conversation that we'll take forward in the day and give to other people. And that's really the human condition. That's right. Really the great human bonding and interaction is that, your kids will speak in your voice. They will then pass it along to their kids in your voice. You are a community of teachers and mentors and parents who provided you with logic and thought, and then you share it, and that's what we're here to do. We're here. We're supposed to go through our lessons to share them. So we're not supposed to just go through it. We're supposed to go through it so that we can help other people get through theirs. And you as a dad, as you just spoke to what you've gone through, you have been empowered and emblazoned to go and tell that story so that people who are going through whatever thing they're going through, they will see how Lee's going through it and gain strength from it, right? And they'll reach out to you and say, Lee, how did you get through this? Or they'll see that there's a path beyond the thing that they're going through. Well, but that's the
and you guys too. Derek, my family. I mean, everybody. It's all one thing.
We understand fully that the greatest influencer that ever existed. And then we also understand the impact of sharing that message.
Yes, that's right. And
this book was just a reminder for everybody. Speak your truth, live your love, and go forward. But keep going forward. So for all the book orders that I got, now it's available on Amazon and it's available that way. But there are people that wanted my signature on the book. And so I sent them to loveprince.us. You can go, it's right there on the front page. The book is there. Just click on it. That'll order. Once you order from my website, then I autograph the book. I customize it. I'll put a personal note in it because it means that much to me that you want to accept my message. That I'll customize the note. I'll put a special note in there for.
Now, don't customize with my name because then I can't sell it on eBay.
No, I sign it. I sign it with my name, but then inside I take a little piece of note. I have this paper it's got the Love Prince logo on it, and then I write a personal note in it, and I put it inside the book, and it's right there at the chapter. And I spent the weekend doing that, and then yesterday, for whatever reason, Mother Nature decided she was going to show off yesterday because it snowed here, and it snowed all day.
Yeah. Wow.
All day after
it's 75 degrees here today.
No, it was 80. It was 80 10 days ago.
Yeah.
And decided it was going to drop down and snow on us yesterday.
Oh,
so
wow.
You know, with that kind of weekend, it was like, okay, let me go ahead and get these books out. To be honest, I cried the entire time I signed these books because
that's what your text said, and that's what.
Yeah,
I was really got teared up myself thinking about it, my brother, because I think I'm so proud of you and I'm so happy for you, and it's so exciting that all these, that you get to share that, and you were just talking about the greatest influencer that ever lived. He was, because he just started a movement. And that movement is one of the largest movements in the world today, 2,000 years later. I mean, it's crazy how much influence he's had on the world. And then how many people are just right on that precipice, just thinking, oh, man, I'm not supposed to believe in all this stuff. But, gosh, I see it in my friends Derek, and I see it in my friend Lee, and I gotta have some of that,
You're supposed to. You're supposed to. It's a phrase that I use with my young people is, I pay attention to what you run to. People always run to love, and if they see you, and the first message of Bible school as a kid is God is love.
Yes, that's right.
Right, that's the very first message.
That's right.
And so I've often learned to put the pill inside of something sweet to get people to swallow it. But the reality is, when I speak to love, I speak to just a better, greater version of you.
Yeah.
And that's not a judgment. That's just from your own benefit, for your own livelihood.
Right.
Go to a better place with better action, better thoughts, and better movement. Like to be able to just simply make decisions that benefit you and the person that you're engaging with, the person you're interacting with. And that doesn't look, I don't tell anybody how to go into their Bible and read verse. And I know that's not my testimony.
Me neither.
My testimony is pay attention to that voice in your head that tells you what is the good thing to do. Notice that I didn't say what the right thing to do, because right is an opinion. Good is a value. And you understand when you're doing a good thing for yourself and the people around you, because the feeling you get is not one of shame. It's not one of regret. It's not one of fear. It is that was good. The feeling, and it shows, it's reciprocated, and then it's reflected. It's a mirror reaction. You go, if my action is good, the reflection that I get back will be good as well. And then the other part, which is the beautiful part, which is that if you're in a position of influence, if you're a person in front of the masses, right? If you're a person in front of kids or classroom or team or a company or family, the beauty of that is you, with your one act of good, will then receive back the reciprocal value of everybody in the room that saw it. Like just today, you and I are talking to each other, and the good that we put out, then we can reach masses of people.
Yes.
And then when it comes back to us, it comes back to us. Like I wrote one book and I put it out. and I had to put out 250 signatures and then got 250 smiles, knowing that as I package and I seal each one and I make it custom, that they're going to get their book and they're going to smile. And they're going to read the book and then they're going to smile several times in the book. And then ideally, they will recommend this book to somebody else so that they feel what they felt. And that's the human condition at its finest, at its best.
Yes.
When we get outside of ourselves and share the good, we share our good with others, and we celebrate other people's goods, because ain't none of this about us. Ain't
That's
none
right.
of this about
That's
us.
right. You know, one of the things that I have a friend who, and he doesn't tell people that he does this, you know, because it's not anything. It's just a moral value that's part of him. And that is that when he sends his books out, he stops after he writes them and he puts his hand on them and he just says a prayer to God. God, let this be a beacon. Let this be something that people will see you through and will have better lives through. Doesn't go tell people, hey, I prayed over your book, you know, like, you know, none of that bull hunky. You know, there's no need to tell anybody that. That's between you and God, and then it becomes between God and them. But you know, I just, and I don't know if you do that, and if you did or didn't, but if you don't, I would recommend doing that, because
In the book,
I know what power that has, brother. I mean, golly.
In each book, and again, it's not one I love out loud. That's just me. And I get people to say, do the act and do it in silence. That works for them. But the moment I celebrate, because that's what love out loud is, it's a celebration. And I can celebrate in private, or I can celebrate to allow somebody else to share in my joy. See, I can go through it and go, hey, I did this, that was fine, pass it along. But I did not give value and respect to the good that was happening. And see, that's my thing is I'll celebrate. I'll celebrate you. I'll celebrate the next one. I will celebrate everything, because those moments are rare. And we live in a time where the space, the vacuum that we live in requires, it demands that we out loud love more than the out loud fear and hate.
Yes. Love out loud.
Yep. So we don't, how you do it, as long as the action is there, I'm good. But for me, it's like being in a sports stadium. The greater the noise, the greater you play. The greater you play, the greater the noise. The human condition doesn't change outside of that. We learn to react to it.
Yeah.
And I love the mass movement of good. That's just, for me, that's just,
it's beautiful.
One of those favorite things. So the book signing was just, and we're doing a national tour. So we'll go around the country on weekends from now until probably July. The cities all over the country. I'll be in DC June 2nd to the 4th, I believe.
Where are you going to be?
I'll be in DC. I believe one of the book signings is in Shirlington or Arlington, right? At the Busboys.
Okay, I'll be there.
Poets and Busboys, or Busboys and Poets.
Something like that. Yeah.
And then I'm working on trying to get my high school to take my book.
Yeah.
Like, to think of all the time I spent in that library, and truth be told, I didn't spend enough. But the time that I did spend there,
was to get out of math class.
Well, no, I would get this. I like math class.
Okay, all right. So did I, but I had a certain math teacher back in ninth grade.
Yeah,
but she didn't like me either, because if I walked in the room and said, can I get a pass to the library? I got to work on something. Man, she couldn't write it fast enough.
Oh, I had a
hell out of there.
I had a teacher who thought so much that way that they had my pass written out in advance. She was like, "You need this? Do you?
You need to go to the library.
Can you do this?" I
I got some real teaching to do today. You need to go to the library.
I would tell the story, and if you don't mind, I'll tell the story.
No, go ahead.
When I was I want to say I was a sophomore. No, I was a junior.
Okay.
And my English teacher, God bless her, Miss Bullock. I was, I knew I was a handful. But she would have this thing in each day in class, and I was an avid reader. So she would go into the text of the the lesson that day, and I would be out loud, "Hey, here's the answer. Here's what this is. Yeah, I understand it." And one day she said, "Mr. Pearson, if you feel like you know all the answers already, then maybe you should just come in when we give the exams." And I said, "What are you talking about?" She goes, No, because you're going to interrupt the class because you're not connected to the class. So why don't you just
stay away?
I'll send out word. I'll send you a letter telling you, or I have one of the students pass you a note that tells you, hey, come in, take the exam. And when you take the exam, and if you pass the course, then you'll be good. So I spent that entire year in the library during that class.
Yep.
Reading. And I was like, okay, coming into the year, the school system said, no, you actually have to go to class. You can't just take the test. So I had to go to summer school to make up the hours, even though I had an A in the class.
That's a deal. She broke her promise to you.
She sure did. But that was it was her peace of mind, and I was that kid. So it was, I understood. She just went.
Yeah, I was the ultimate protector. So I would, if I thought a teacher was being unfair to, not really to me, they didn't much. I mean, I did what I was supposed to, my classwork and everything. Homework I didn't do, which when we were in school, that was 70% of our grade. So I had to go to summer school quite a bit, but I always got A's because that's the kind of teaching I needed. I needed the teaching that was in class. What we did in class, I did a ton of work in class. I liked doing it in class. I did not like doing homework at home. It was tedious. Anyway, long story short, I used to also be very protective of students, and typically I was in classes with the younger kids because, making up stuff. But and so when some of my teachers were bullies to the younger kids. I mean, and I would say, hey, teacher look at me like, what do you mean, hey? And I'm like, going, dude, you don't talk to people like that. Oh, you want to go to the You want to go to the principal's office? I said, well, I'd like to go to the principal's office. Let me know what you're up to. I mean, I was Mr. Protector. Seriously, I didn't like that crap at all.
Yeah, I understood. I understood, get it, but I would go in that library, and it became like a meeting place for people who wanted to do that. And then, as I said, I'm trying to get my book into that library, and they're working it out. But the question is because to have your book in the center of learning for where you gained information, the most amount of information, would be, to me, that would be a tribute to my grandmother who used to espouse the value of being in the library. She called it the investment that would keep paying.
Yes.
And she said the amount of time, it's one of the few places. She said, think about it this way. There's only a couple of places that you can go where the time you spend there has exponential value to you. Right? It's church, it's library, it's a school. After that, after that, you're getting paid for it, right?
You mean the comic book store is not one of them?
Yeah. Well, the library, but now the bookstore, we would go through, because that was it. As an adult, when you couldn't go into the school library, you would go to the public library, and I would go right there on Quincy Street. I would drive all the way across county and go to the one on Quincy Street, which was near my school, but not there. And then as an adult, you found a bookstore. Yeah. And there were several there, one in Pentagon City, one right there in South Arlington, where you would go to, and it's the only place you could travel. You could get into a book and hear about parts of the world that you were never, at least in your mind, you were never going to get to. And that was the value. And I was like, okay. So all of this process for me has been just full circle in that learning, and then being able to put something in the world that another young person will be able to read and know that I wanted
to feed on.
Yeah,
Another young person has something to feed on.
I want a young person,
that's why I look at it.
Right from where we grew up, to know that somebody who was like them, who came from where they came from, went on this journey and met these people and would tell these stories so that they can dream and aspire to get out of that space, go travel the world, go share some stories. Like you have somebody to lead you to do that. And that's what this book is for me. So
I mean, yeah, and it was for me. I was very lucky as a young man. We moved here when I was in 6th grade, and we didn't move since then. But before that, I lived all over the world. My dad was in the Army, and so we lived not really all over the world. We lived in Germany. That was the one place, but we traveled. But that was my dad. My dad's number one was, if he's going to live in a different country, my kids are going to grow up in the culture. And so we got a house off base in Sandhausen, West Germany. And I was actually born in West Germany when my mom and dad first got married. They were stationed over there, and I was born there. And then we came back. I was just a baby still, but we went back over there in my formative years, and I learned to ski. I learned German fluently because there was none of my friends who could speak English yet. They hadn't started taking English in school yet. And they all do eventually, but, I had to learn it. I had to learn German fluently, and I knew Kinderdeutsch in the Straßendeutsch, street German. I mean, I could keep up I was the interpreter for our family because I'm the one that could speak. And all the parents, all the people we would go to, restaurants, whatever, they all thought that I was an adopted kid from these Americans adopted this German kid, And honestly, I'd even had people ask me that. Are you adopted? I don't even know what that is in German anymore, but I've lost a lot of stuff. It's been a long time, but I was just like 9, Kinderdeutsch, and they were just like, just sehr gut, yeah. And they loved my dialect. It was good. They said it was spot on, and to this day, the German that I speak, the dialect is correct, and so people think I speak more German than I do, because I can do it pretty quick, just like I just did. And they go, oh, no. I'm like, no. Langsamer. Give that to me slower. I need to find out what that is. But it's the influences, you're right, that carried me through. Those were great influences. I remember even down to our German bus driver who used to cuss at all of us. I mean, I used to, halt dein Maul! And shut up, And he was a trip. He was awesome, but he was another one of those protective guys. We had this drunk dude try and get on our bus. I remember him kicking the guy right in the face. We were all like, whoa. I mean, he's like, and I was like, dang. Yeah, so it was crazy. It was kind of interesting. So anyway, I mean, the guy just wanted to ride. He wasn't trying to get at anybody. He just wanted to get on the bus. Bus driver said no. The guy kept coming. He just kicked him right in the face. I was like, okay. He just left him laying out on the ground. We drove away.
That's a different bus driver.
I'm telling you, dude. It was crazy. He was something else. But I remember those things, those influences that you get, and when he did that, that's not something you should do. I mean, he was just doing it to protect us. Keep that guy off the bus. That's what he was there. And it's like we all were like going, wow, that's a good man. Thanks a lot. That kind of thing. So
some of my favorite people from school were bus drivers.
Yeah, because they're just regular people, man.
It was the first time I got on a school bus. This was busing back in 1970. Yeah, 1970.
You got bused to a school?
And the very first of it. So I was pulled from Drew Elementary, which was black, and I was going to be bused over to Stonewall Jackson on the other side of the county. And when I was scared. I mean, I'm nervous. I was, eight,
Of course.
9 years old, and you get on the bus and the door opens.
And you're going to Stonewall Jackson.
Yeah, that part.
That's a little scary. Yeah.
But to have the door open and to see my neighbor who lived on the street that I lived on, and on the street where I was getting picked up, to see a neighbor and a smiling face, somebody that knew my mom, say, "I got you."
Yeah. Oh, he's an older guy?
Older woman.
Older woman. Okay. Oh, the bus driver.
Her name
was the bus driver. Gotcha.
Her name was Miss Barber, and she would drive me there. And if I, and again, if I did anything on that ride,
Mom found out.
Right, Mom knew and made me accountable. She also delivered us to school. Like, to her, it wasn't just driving.
Yeah.
She was delivering us to school.
Right.
And the pride that she showed in doing her job made all the difference in the world.
Yeah. I remember we had a bus driver. Her name was Mrs. Sandra Beach. So I remember putting that together. I went, "Oh, Sandy Beach, what a cool name." And she just smiled. She's super nice. And when she would also, when she picked us up, she didn't get out of her seat. But at the end, when we got to the school, she stood up and said, "Have a good day. Have a good day," to every kid that walked off the bus. She stood up there, right there next to the exit, and said, "Have a good day. Have a good day." And I don't know. It was just, and we had a special needs kid that she used to get up. She didn't have to get him. He could come up, but she would get down off the bus to help him down the stairs, which, the patrols could have easily done, but she wanted to make sure she did that for him. And anyway, she was phenomenal. I remember our bus broke down back before radios and everything, and she had to go knock on a front door. We're all sitting on the bus. She said, "You guys be good and stay right where you are. I'll be right back." So she had to go call on some landline.
Try that.
I know. Yeah. Well, everybody got cell phones now, and they got all the buses now have radios. My aunt actually was a bus driver trainer in Boulder, Colorado, and she was mountain certified because you had to have a special certification to drive buses in the mountain. Yeah. And in fact, they only had a few of the magnetometers that you slow the bus down on the drive shaft.
Yeah.
And that's the only kind of bus that was supposed to go into the mountains. If you were driving a brake bus, you had to stop every however often. The reason is, and I'm sure you even heard about it, in Boulder County, a bus lost control and flipped off the not the mountain, but kind of off to the side, and the kid was killed because of a boulder. It hit a boulder right where the kid was sitting. It was just, and the lady had smelled the brakes and thought she tested them and thought she was good. And then she lost it. And she made it a mile down this curvy road with that bus at about 70 miles an hour. And the only reason why everyone got there so fast is because a Boulder County patrol officer, highway patrol, was just happened to be driving up the hill, and he saw her come by flashing her lights, and he said by the time he whipped around and caught back up, he said she was already off the road, and it was a mile down the road. So it was that how fast she was going, and she was keeping control of that bus. She was in control of that thing at 70 miles an hour, going around very treacherous turns. But the guy gave her, it came down to being her fault ultimately. But the trooper was like, "That's the best. I couldn't have ever driven that bus like that. Never. Would never been able to do that." So he gave her a lot of props as far as her driving ability, and then she had to live with that kid who died on her bus, and so sad. But that's what we're all there for, Derek.
Yes, sir.
We're all here because we don't know what the other guy's been through in his life. You don't know when you meet that woman and you're talking and and you say something that triggers that memory, and you're like, "Are you okay?" "Yeah, I'm fine." And that's something that's aided her for, I'm sure, 40 years. I mean, it's been 40 years ago that it happened. And I'm sure it's still
Yep.
she'll always judge herself harshly and saying that it's her fault that that poor kid died and those parents were. And then, of course, they start talking about putting seatbelts in the buses, and that's just ridiculous. My aunt was so against seatbelts, and she's a bus driver supervisor. And she was so against putting seatbelts in buses. She said it's ridiculous. I mean, yeah, maybe a special needs where you need to keep this kid strapped in his seat. But on regular buses, they're going to use them to choke each other. Who knows what they're going to use those things for? And those seats are so high. They're safe. No one typically is going to get hurt unless they just happen to hit a boulder perfectly. You know, that's the only time that's why kids are going to get hurt. But anyway, and that happens so rare. Those bus drivers know exactly what they're doing. I mean, she used to drive up to this school they had up in the mountains, and you drive up on this slant, and you stop the bus, you get out, go open the gate, and then let it in. Well, what happens in the mountains, Derek? Snows, ice, right? So you come up on that thing, she said. And she told me she gets up there and the bus will start sliding backwards. And so I said, oh my God. And you got like 30, 40 kids on the bus? Oh, sometimes more. And I'm going, and it's sliding back. I'd be pissing my pants. I mean, I'd just be like, oh my gosh. And she said, I said, what do you do? She said, oh, we just angle it off the road and lean it against the trees. I'm like, how can you do that? Anyway, but balls, man. I tell you what, straight up strength those women have that do those buses.
Great presence. Couldn't do
Unbelievable.
it.
No way.
Couldn't
30, 40 kids and you're sliding backwards, picking up momentum. It's like, oh no.
Couldn't do it.
We're at the end of our time. Of course, we've gone over like we usually do, and that's okay because I like going over with you, DP. Congratulations on your book again. I definitely am going to go to Love Prince, get myself a copy. I'm so excited to read it and read your story. I'm sure as much as you and I have talked, I'm sure there's all kinds of stuff there that I didn't know about you, and I can't wait to find out.
It's good stuff. Really, it really is. It's great.
And stuff. I like, I always liked the Chicken Soup with the Soul and kind of things, those kind of books. So that's what sounds like this kind of is. It's these different guys' stories throughout the book. I can't wait. And I can't wait for you to get in a book like that too.
16 stories, man. It's good stuff.
I'll bet it is. So when are you going to write your own book?
Actually, oddly enough, I talked to the publisher last night, and we're going to set a date here. There's a volume 2 to this that's going to come out in September.
Yeah.
That I'm in, but so I'm going to imagine probably December or so.
Yeah. You guys will start working on your own, but you'll start working on the Derek Pearson book?
20 chapters.
Wow. That's awesome, buddy.
So,
all right. I can't wait to see all that and read all that. And I can't wait to, as always, can't wait to talk to you next week.
We'll do it again next week.
Absolutely, man. Thank you for helping fulfill lives and bringing love into the world, buddy. I appreciate you.
It's what we do.
All right, man. Peace. Later.